Basilica, at St. Joseph Basilica in Milwaukee. And it's going to be the gathering of 4 different fraternities. So it'll be a real great sale like this, a great avenue for networking. Sister?
I'm Sister Leonette, coming from Manitowoc, Wisconsin. I'm a Franciscan Sister of Christian Charity from Manitowoc. This time of year, we have a small healthcare system that we sponsor. It consists of a hospital here in Manitowoc, a hospital in Zanesville, Ohio, hospital in West Point, Nebraska, and a nursing home hospital in Kaukauna, Wisconsin, and a site in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So we're a small healthcare system, but this time of year, there are annual meetings being held with the board of directors of each of these institutions. And one of the things that's very real out there in healthcare, as we all know, which we probably all knew, but the pandemic brought it closer to us, I think, is the inequities that exist in terms of healthcare. As in so many areas of society, the poor always suffer more, no matter what type of setback or disaster we're facing. And this isn't unique to us, but healthcare around the country is really making intentional efforts to dispel some of that inequitability that exists in healthcare. And on a small scale, because our hospitals are not part of a large, the ones we sponsor are not part of a large conglomerate, or that's not a pleasant word. It's not part of a large merger of hospitals. We're all single, independent little community hospitals under one system of sponsorship. And even on a small scale in our small towns, the hospitals are trying to find ways to break down some of that inequity in healthcare. And part of it is a Providence Fund that exists in each of our facilities, where funding is available for just immediate needs for staff or folks that are being cared for, where we can reach out if they're facing sudden crises. So it's encouraging to hear what's happening in healthcare on large scales and small scales to break down that inequity that exists. Where are we? Let's see, Mary, please.
On a personal note, I'm delighted that our daughter had a great visit with her son's family in San Diego. And this is probably the first time since COVID, I think, that she's been out there. They've been here to visit, but she hasn't been out there since then. And then in sort of a Lenten social justice issue, I'm feeling at peace with how our collection of books for the county jail is going. I tried to be very specific about the sort of materials that would be useful. Some people understood that. Other people just cleared off a shelf and put their stuff in a box. And initially I was a little disgruntled about that, but I've decided, you know, we're getting quite a few useful materials. And sometimes people just find it hard to throw things away that need to be thrown away. So those things I, in fact, will throw away. And some of the things that don't seem appropriate for the county jail, I will either take to half-price books to get money to buy more appropriate things, or else just put them in little libraries. So at this point, I'm feeling like this has been an okay project for Lent. And I will call on Robert.
Okay, I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks. On Good Friday, a daughter that lives near Toronto is going to be coming home for about 5 days. It's really a delight. And then in Easter week, the day after she leaves, my wife and I will be flying to Vancouver to visit our other daughter and our grandson. So those are really happy things looking forward to. In the past week, we've had about 5 to 6 hours of preparation for election day. I'm going to be a poll worker tomorrow. It's going to be a long day. We need to be there at 6:30. The polls close at 8 and we should get finished maybe by 9:30, quarter to 10 or so. So a 6:30 to 9:30 will be a long day tomorrow. And is it Diane?
Yes.
Diane?
Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Trush, and I belong to the St. Pasquale Baylon fraternity. And I am going to miss our reunion this weekend because my daughter, she's on her last year of college and she got awarded a grant. So her ceremony is this Friday, which is very cool. My brother turned 60 and I was in Puerto Rico last week to celebrate his birthday. Coming back from 80 to 17 degrees that was here, I just have a bad cold. And it's been hanging there. In our formation for our fraternity, we decided to talk about the dehumanizing languages that we've been using. So I did take one of the projects that the Franciscan Action Network is telling, and I presented it. We then separate in small groups, so it was a nice way to communicate things that that we could improve. We're looking forward to see how can we help the youth. I know my daughter's going through a bunch of different things, and the reality is very difficult for them. Last year, she went to Hawaii for an internship, and it came out we found out that the person that managed the internship has a sexual scheme going on and been transferring young girls to China. So she was in kind of danger of that. She's been traumatized about that. And we're trying to get help for her for that. And just seeing what imaginable things that when we were growing up didn't happen are happening to them now. So it's a frightening world. But I'm very proud of her. She's finishing her degree in waste management.
Oh, good.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Anne. Let's see who's John, I think. Yeah. Your turn.
Here we go. Thank you. It was great to hear all the apostolates that people are involved in. And what was good for me this afternoon right now was to stop and just think about where I am. And it was good to hear about the medical things going on and the work with moving clothing and things, all good things. And I have in the trips you guys are taking, which makes me feel less guilty about my footprint I'm leaving behind. But I'm getting ready to visit my son in Phoenix, and I'm leaving on Thursday. And it's amazing how I felt today like it was when I was working full time. And now it's kind of like, what do I have to do to get out of town? This last fall, I worked in cleaning up a homeless encampment along the Milwaukee River, which has just broadened out to all kinds of things and leaves me today with someone is camping again on the river. So I had to report that to the authorities. I also have been struggling with a grocery store chain and shopping carts. We've got 2 shopping carts that went into the river and are now fish cribs. And we've got some that are 2 on a bank and another one by a building. And I came up with a solution, and I just can't get a response from the grocery store chain to come and take care of them and pick them up and develop a locking system that we would share so they don't end up in the river again. And I guess that's the thing. And I have a young man that when I'm gone from Milwaukee will clean up. It's kind of a daily or every other day cleanup along a segment of the river. There's so much trash that blows in off of a bridge and messy. So it feels like, gosh, this is hard to leave town, which makes me feel good about it. And I'm going to come back from Phoenix after visiting my son for a couple days, and then I'm going on a long bike trip in Missouri, a bicycle trip in Missouri. So I've got to kind of think in terms of both trips right now.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to stop.
Mhm.
Enjoy your trips.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, it sounds like you guys have had some. Vancouver's beautiful. My gosh.
Mhm. Yes.
I don't think there's anyone else. We aren't missing anyone.
No.
How about
Yeah,
you, Nora?
Yeah, thank you. I think that was it. I
Okay.
appreciate it's nice to hear what people are involved in and just even little snippets. It's good to know, and I'll be thinking of you all who are traveling and thinking of you tomorrow, Bob, with at the polls, just thinking of the reflection questions that we had for this week was trying to be more mindful of the experience the poll workers have. And here we have you firsthand.
Yeah.
So I look forward to also, I invite you to share the experience and any observations with us. Things are good. I mentioned April is a busy month. It seems I don't know if you all saw, we're going to, thanks to Interfaith Power and Light, we're going to show a viewing of a film about these young climate activists that looks to be really inspiring. And I'm excited about it because I don't know if you all are familiar. The Franciscan Federation is a federation for the Third Order Regular, and they had a talk last year about a Franciscan Renaissance by Brian McLaren, who is not himself a Franciscan, but he was calling for a Franciscan Renaissance from Franciscans. The need for all of you and your spirit in transforming and reawakening. And one of the things he said was, what if we had a preferential option for the young? And hear that in a lot of circles, I feel like I've heard it with you all as well as in others, this real desire to connect with and listen to young people today and not, listen to them and make sure they know they're not alone in facing the future and try to, work together. So I think this film could bring up a lot of really interesting insights and maybe motivation for us as we go forward. One of the things I'm going to transition now. Can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Mhm.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, I was so grateful for the conversation that we had, every time, and also last month when we were able to look at where our interests overlap and all of the many wonderful, topics that have to do with the well-being of our community and your community there in Milwaukee. It's so clear to me that you all are really gifted and extremely caring people. And there's this wonderful word that I wish there was an equivalent in English that is in Spanish. I know some of you are Spanish speakers. The word cariño, which is, correct, add on, but it's like this, it's like caring, it's like an extension of your heart. And I see that in you all. So I want to affirm that and also say, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Spirit moves. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I trust that God has great plans for us in the future. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is to consider the idea of maybe taking on a responsibility or a role, or maybe rotating that within our circle. So I sadly cannot stay facilitating every meeting, or maybe that's not so sad. Actually, it's probably better. It's just sad for me because I enjoy you all so much. But one of the things I am hopeful for is that maybe we can get to a point where we have some volunteers who can help to facilitate the meetings. And really, one of the key roles is convening, just bringing people together. I don't know exactly how far apart you all are. I know that circles, for example, the one in Washington, D.C. that has, yes, the one in Washington, D.C. who has met, they started meeting last summer. And then after maybe 5, like around the same time as you all, maybe about 4 or 5 meetings on Zoom, they said, let's meet in person. I think we should meet each other in person. And one of the people was telling me recently, after we started meeting in person, the cohesiveness and the connection changed. It really, it was a new level, and we really gelled even more. And I know that that's not always possible, especially with distance and also health concerns. So I'm not saying it has to happen now, but I just wanted to open it up as an option to think about. I was just on a call last week with the Circle in Boston, which is actually honestly smaller than you all right now. They're in a time when they're looking for more people, and there's just been some shifts happening. Things come up in people's lives. So they were saying that they went, there's a Capuchin, just like Brother Robert, one of his brothers is there in the Circle, and they've got a mobile food ministry in Boston where they go out into the streets and accompany people who are unhoused and just offer, basic things. And they were talking about that experience and what that was like. And then the brother made the connection, these are important because of the relationships, right? But it's also important because we want to be informed in order to look at what root causes or structural solutions there could be. But we don't want to look at that without being very much in touch with and in relationship with those who are most affected by the issue. So I was really happy to hear that, because that is our hope with this Franciscan lens, is that we always look towards how we can nurture those relationships and address that other foot, right? The social justice foot of the 2 feet of love and action, which is just as important as the charity foot. So all of that to say, just some things to think about. Potentially, maybe, you all are involved in some amazing things. Maybe there's a place or a group that, we could coordinate all meeting and visiting, or just having time together, or, looking at a specific issue, or multiple, because as we know, they're all interconnected. So when I've worked with some other circles, and they say, well, what do you suggest we do in terms of roles? I found that it is really helpful to have someone who can bring people together, on the email, hey guys, we're meeting, don't forget to be there. And also it's really helpful too, to have, some circles will have a rotation of like someone different will prepare an opening prayer each time. And for those circles that are without any professed Franciscans, so Franciscans who have gone through that formation, that years of long formation and commitment, I always look for someone who is professed because it's so nice. While no one, of course, none of us are experts, but it's so nice to have you all who have that experience and formation to help make sure that we don't go to the temptation of letting ourselves get so involved in all these issues, which are so good and important, and let go of the nourishing, the Franciscan spirituality side. So we really long to have both, which I think you all do too, which is why you wanted to be here. So we're hopeful that, as we go forward, we can maintain both of those, leading, listening to the Spirit, giving time for prayer, and really being led, as well as looking for those opportunities of encounter that inform how we can take action and be advocates where there's an opportunity. So yes, please.
I have a question, Norma. The justice circles that you're speaking of, Boston or other areas, do they coordinate activities as a group? Or are they doing individual things in their locale and just reporting back to the group? Or I'm not sure of the structure. I'm sorry, I'm sounding ignorant after all these times we've met, and I know I've not been able to be present always. Is the structure of the justice circle such that the groups in an area function together as a group to undertake outreach or projects or whatever, or what is the intent?
So thank you for that question. And it's not an uninformed question at all. I honestly will say that is very much up to you all. I think the intent behind the idea of the circles was not to replicate anything that's already being done. We definitely don't want to take anybody away from what they're already doing. Rather, the hope is to go away from the silo structure that can happen, and try to make spaces of collaboration. And that we can also support each other in what we're doing. So I know some, like just the other day, the other one in Wisconsin, closer to Minnesota, there was someone who got on that call and he said, I'm not really looking for new projects necessarily, but he said, personally, I'm looking for a place where I can get even ministries that I'm undertaking. I get the sense that he doesn't necessarily have all the support that maybe he is looking for. Others want to do something with people and they just don't have people to do it with. From a place of faith, motivated, faith-rooted action. So I guess turn it over to you all, and I invite us all to be very honest and open in what I think maybe one of our first meetings, we answered or reflected on the question, what are our hopes? We, of course, being fan, our mission is quite, in a way, it's narrow and focusing on action. It's in the name, but I also recognize that one model isn't going to work everywhere. So I would love to open up that question to you all. What what would you hope for, and what kind of, you know, situation would you like to see?
I'm not sure about the distance of all of us. I think we're kind of far apart on distance. So it would be fantastic if we could really meet and have a social gathering. What I see right now, I see what each person is doing and how can I do something similar or well, I'm just recently retired. Well, it's going to be a year now. So I'm really looking for things where I'm called to do things now. I'm very involved with the Red Cross now. And I'm one of their disaster health services member. So I've been on the shelters and on the Milwaukee shelters, and that helped me see really how housing in Milwaukee is it's kind of a bad situation, and how the very poor, the very vulnerable people are faced with absolutely nothing after their whole belongings and everything is on fire. And still the landlord is asking them for their monthly rent, or they told them that they're not going to get their deposit because they lost everything and they need to fix things. How the injustice of that is coming. I love hearing what everybody else is doing, and see how we could all together. I don't know if all together could have a similar project or something to do. I'm just throwing that out there too. That's what I see.
I will. Oh, please go ahead, John.
Okay. I really like your comment about the rent issue. You know, I think there are a ton of things that a person can choose to work on. And definitely one of those would be to reinstate housing inspections in Wisconsin. You know, I don't know the history, but that went away. That had been a thing that had to be, and that has really changed housing for the poor. And, you know, I see that as an important issue, but I also have to limit, as we all do, just what all we can get involved in. And I'm going to say something here that has to stay in this electronic circle we have, but our fraternity, you know, as much as we talk about contemplation, how to maneuver this in this world. You know, you get a bunch of do-gooders together, but we're all doing our own good. And that's, I don't know, how do we go? And I certainly don't want to be a part of a meeting trying to figure out regularly what we're going to do together, because
Yeah.
you're all welcome. You're all welcome to come up to the Lower East Side of Milwaukee someday, and I'll show you the river project. It's and what's going to go on with the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewage District in the next 5 years. It's amazing. It's the more people that are enlightened about it, the better. But you know, I don't know if I want to take on something like trying to advocate for rental housing to be inspected, even though I know it's really needed.
Yeah.
So all of us here belong to some type of Franciscan group, is that correct?
No.
No?
So,
Okay.
well, I've got one you can join.
No, I'm already a member.
I heard about it. I'm not impressed with what I heard.
Oh,
I'm going to
I'll think
speak for
about it.
myself here. No, excuse me. Others haven't had a chance to speak yet.
I am definitely not interested in getting involved in other projects. I guess I would say that racism is my main interest, and that was kind of what led me to getting involved at the county jail. I think our racism is particularly evident in our criminal justice system. What I have appreciated is when we have had like a short reading to discuss. I've appreciated the prayer. I've appreciated connecting with people who share Franciscan values. And I find that the way we pray for the poor feels different than the way I hear it prayed for at church, in the prayers of the faithful for some reason. I am an associate of the Franciscan Sisters of St. Francis of Assisi. And so I do have some Franciscan support there. I'm not interested in spending much time talking about logistics or meetings or anything like that. I would be interested in getting together regularly, whether it's monthly or quarterly or every other month, and just, you know, maybe sharing our response to an article, sharing what we are all individually doing. If there is an invitation for something particular, like if John is sponsoring sort of a tour in terms of what he's doing, that might be interesting to go to. But yeah, that's where I am. Just basically looking for a faith sharing group, I guess I would say, that keeps me motivated.
I think what we have here is a group of very motivated people. That's why we're here. And we are probably all over-indulged already, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And well, I haven't, you know, I happen to be much older, and I've become homebound and disabled. So I can't jump on something because I have to jump on someone's shoulders to take me and to semi kind of watch out for me. Who's going to take care of Lewis? Not exactly like that, but you know. And so it's not what I've been very involved. I feel like I don't have anything to apologize for my behavior in the past. And I think that my being here, I think, is a statement towards that. And I said, well, to be fully transparent, if I were to say something, what would I think if I heard someone say that? I went, a cop out. But I'm here to learn, to continue to learn, to continue to formate. And to me, if I'm just allowed to attend, you know, that's of great blessing to me. So I just want to make all of you aware that even your presence here has great benefit. Thank you.
I think this is a group kind of with a general Franciscan overtone. So whatever we're doing, it's kind of in this environment or this atmosphere of a Franciscan approach to the gospel, a Franciscan approach to life. In that, as we share our story, it encourages us, I find encourages us individually. And what can happen is not so necessarily that we need to join each other's ministry, but as we hear what we're doing, there may be an issue that comes up, and that in discussion from another viewpoint may prove helpful in this encounter. You know, that it's a gathering where other viewpoints can interact and perhaps affect or color how we do what we're doing.
I think that's a good thought. And I have to apologize, Sister Leonette, you had something to say before, and I think I interrupted you.
No, I stopped because I was speaking a second time and others hadn't had a chance to speak at first. So that, no apology. Thank you. I don't feel interrupted. But what Robert's saying and the faith sharing suggestions and being here to learn, I think that's I find that appealing. Because I think, as you're saying, everybody has involvements already, or have had involvements, and not in a position to take on anything new. And because of our distances, probably that wouldn't be feasible to even think in terms of a group, approach to anything. But, and I speak for myself here, I'm a member of the Franciscan Religious Sisters Congregation with a full-time position as part of our leadership team, and looking for what our future will look like as religious congregations. And part of that, as the Franciscan Federation right now, is really focusing on how do there seems to be a search out there for being part of the Franciscan umbrella in some way or another. But how do we make that Franciscan charism real? And that's rather consuming for us as a religious congregation, besides all of our day-to-day operations. But so I guess what I'm saying is I appreciate the suggestions that are coming together would be faith sharing, would be the discussion of something we've read, or as you said, an article or a video clip or something, and still sharing what's happening in our environment that we may or may not be able to be involved in. I think that would be a supportive group of Franciscan-minded people, as you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's a great word, sister, a supportive group. We're here to support each other.
Mhm.
And there's so much out there, Nora, you're quoting of Brian saying, a preferential option for the young. His whole, I don't know if he gave a presentation at last year's Franciscan Federation conference that has been printed. I don't know if you folks are familiar with it, but that could be a starting point for conversation or discussion if we wish. I don't know.
I was just thinking that maybe that could be the next reading or viewing, because it's been transcribed, but you can also watch it, the recording.
Yes.
It's honestly very fascinating, and I would say it's one you could watch multiple times. It's this call to a Franciscan Renaissance, and it's very real, and there's just some, like, for me at least, really several points really resonated with me, and it just got me thinking, and kind of this movement, interior. So yeah, I would be fascinated to hear your own reactions and thoughts, and what ideas are stirred up for you as well.
Could you send both the video link and the paper link as well?
I will. Yes. Yes. I'll do that. Let me write a note so I make sure I remember. I'm one of those visual people, and if I don't write it down, I might forget. I really appreciated everything you all said, and I just want to say thank you for your honesty, and yes, I just feel this gratitude for all of what you shared, and some ideas have come to mind. So I'm in this unique position, right, where I get to hear a little bit about what's going on in each circle, and I hope, I have lots of plans and ideas for trying to facilitate all the circles to also connect with each other more. But one of the things that came to mind is the New York Circle, which really started by themselves. They just were pioneers. And the model that they had been using was, again, New York City, really big area. So they had initially like 20 to 30 people, which is a lot. So they said, well, since we have so many people, let's break up into, like working groups, basically, like action groups. So they looked at, what topics are people most interested in, and kind of seeing where there's overlap. So they decided at the time to look at immigration, care for creation, environmental, and I can't remember. The third one was health. So actually quite similar to you all. And what they did is between meetings, like the kind of subgroups would get together and, work on their kind of issue, or if there was an event that they were working on. And then at the larger meeting, and they met maybe once every 2 months. They actually didn't meet very frequently. They would kind of get everybody up to date and invite everyone to participate in whatever the action was, or, whatever campaign they were working on. That was, and I'm not saying that was a perfect model. It was just what they tried at the time. So I think about that, and I think about what you all are talking about, and I heard the invitation, John, it sounded like you may have coming to encounter what the environment is like at the river. Is that right?
Well, I think it would be kind of a casual get together.
Potentially.
Just to learn a little bit about what's going on with the Milwaukee River. They opened up a dam, and I believe it was 2017 or 17, I think. They opened up the North Avenue Dam, and a lot of people in Milwaukee got cryptosporidium. So they're trying to do it right this time. And it's just kind of interesting.
Mhm.
You guys probably all know the dates. I wasn't living here then, but it's kind of a fascinating project that's going on. It's part of a super fund, but I can say that, but I would certainly, I'm there. I'm available to do that probably any Monday, Wednesday, or Friday afternoon in May, because I'll be gone in April. But I would certainly welcome that. And I also, Sister Leonette, please read, I sent you a message. I'm a Silver Lake College graduate, and I sent you a message.
Oh.
So take a look at it, would you?
When did you send it, John?
Just, it's on the chat. Just so
Oh.
you take a look. It's just something between you and I, and something I'd like you to do. But, I don't know if people would be interested in that. You'd have to travel to the Lower East Side of Milwaukee, because just talking about it on a Zoom isn't going to do it justice.
I will make that.
Sure.
I just read your chat, John. I will make that contact.
Great, thank you.
She lives in the same house here as I do, so that's easy.
Great.
Yeah, so I mean, that's an example, right? I remember too hearing Mary, you talk about how passionate you are about well, not only racism, but also those who are imprisoned. And I think about, well, potentially there could be a connection and introduction for those who are interested in visiting. I'm speaking, I'm making it up. I don't mean to impose anything. But we could potentially invite each other to these moments of encounter, and it doesn't have to be all the time. And it does, I don't want to put any pressure, but I think it is so unique to be able to connect with each other and have these relationships that one person has and say, oh, well, I've never had the opportunity to meet someone who is coming out of incarceration and dealing with what is life like after that, how to work, having those types of, it says my internet connection is unstable. Anyway, these are just ideas. So I love what you all are saying with, this opportunity to support each other. I really appreciated somebody said, I want to keep learning. I want to keep transforming. And I'm with you. I do too. I think I'm a very unfinished work. So it's nice to benefit from those others who have seen more clearly and help me see more clearly as well. So yeah, I mean, that could be an option, like going forward in warmer months. If someone has an idea for an opportunity to get together, that could happen, but it doesn't have to be, the rule or the main form of being together. Oh my gosh, we're at the hour. I'm so sorry. I'm with you. I also don't like talking about logistics very much. I'd much rather share and reflect. So I brought it up only because I have to. So think about it, but don't let it keep you from coming. And I will send you for next time this Franciscan Renaissance. I hope it can get some juices flowing. And I also have, maybe I'll send one more optional video that I just came across that was sent to me by another circle member. In case you're interested. And I wondered if anyone might be open to preparing an opening prayer for next time. Again, it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be off the cuff, it can be planned, it can be someone else's prayer, whatever you like.
That sounds like something that I am able to do. So I will be glad to lead us in an opening prayer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. Great. Okay, I know I'm a minute over. For next month is I don't know if you all are around at the beginning of May, or should we look at let me pull up my calendar, the second week of May perhaps? I'm not sure how you all are looking at how your calendar looks. May 2nd or May 9th?
Either one works for me.
I can't meet on the 2nd. On the 9th I could.
Okay.
Yes, I'd be out of town on the 9th, on the 2nd, 9th would be better.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Either is okay with me too.
The 9th works for me.
Louis, is the 9th all right for you?
Yes, yes.
Mary, are you all right? Okay, great. So we'll say May 9th. May 9th at, is this time still all right? 5
Yes.
p.m.?
Yes.
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 Okay, great. Well, I just want to thank our good Creator for bringing us together, for bestowing on us so many blessings of each person's presence here tonight. And we ask that you guide us, protect us, and help us to see things ever more clearly so that we may love ever more deeply. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Happy
you. God
Easter,
bless.
everyone.
Happy
Holy
Easter,
Week
everyone.
And happy Easter. Blessings on Holy Week.
Yeah.
Stay
Thank
well.
you.
John, I will make contact for you, little sister.
I appreciate it. Be good to get connected with her again. My
Yeah,
6th
she's-
grade teacher.
She's a
Oh,
good lady.
wow.
She's a good lady.
Yes.